Hi, I'm Simon Canton. Welcome to my first discussion of books I've given up on recently. I'd like to start by saying that I'm a very picky reader. I read slowly, so I give up on books easily if I'm not getting into them. This isn't necessarily a review of the books themselves. These books have been well reviewed elsewhere. This is just a list of reasons why I personally gave up on the books. Most recently, I gave up on Slum Online by Hiroshi Sakurazaka. This was a surprise for me. I recently reviewed his other book, All You Need Is Kill, and loved it, so I went in expecting to like this book. Slum Online is about a college student, Etsuro, who doesn't really go to class. All he does is play an online fighting game. Etsuro wants to get in the top 4 fighters in the online fighting game. In some ways, this book was a little like Ready Player One, only without the stakes. I read to about a quarter of a way through the book, and it really just is about a college student and the online fighting game he likes. This book also reminded me a little of Catcher in the Rye. Etsuro wanders the streets and thinks about the city and gaming in general. I'm a gamer. I don't have time for it recently because of writing, but I'd like to think that I'm the target audience for this book. I was certainly the target audience for Ready Player One. This book, however, just couldn't hold my interest. Without anything on the line, I had no real reason to root for Etsuro in his game. Being in the top 4 of a fighting game in the world isn't a goal I aspire to. Also, Etsuro isn't really a character that I can relate to. At the risk of being branded a bookworm, I studied really hard in college. So Etsuro's slapdash attitude to life isn't really something I can relate to. I take the attitude that if you're going to do something, jump in with both feet. In the end, Etsuro couldn't keep me interested and I dropped Slum Online. The second book I've given up on recently is The Scriptlings by Soren Suchu. This one had me reading along for a long time. It's a really long book and I read about 30% of it. The Scriptlings is about modern day wizards who combine ancient languages with programming languages to make spells. The book follows 4 different people, 2 experienced wizards and their 2 apprentices. The main issue for me with this book was that nothing had happened after 130 pages. Sure, there had been a lot of minor events, but there wasn't really a big bad for them to fight. I've written before about Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks' storytelling acronym VIMS. VIMS stands for Violence, Intrigue, Mystery and Sex. To make a story interesting, it should have as much of each of these as possible. Obviously sensibly used, not just thrown in for effect. The Scriptlings just had a lot of pages with none of those, so I got bored and gave up reading. Just like Slum Online, there needs to be some kind of overarching plot to keep me going, along with a lot of little other things. The Scriptlings had a lot to like. The story was well written and the characters were believable. They just seemed to be unsure what they wanted to do, or at least I couldn't work out what their motivations were. As a comparison, I really liked Another Fine Myth by Robert Asprin, which is also about magicians in a comedy fantasy setting. However, it had a major threat to motivate the good guys and keep them going. Again, this is just my opinion, man. This book was recommended to me by Garrett Robinson, who really enjoyed it, so you might well like the book. Overall, I have a hard time nailing down what I like about books. Some of them seem to drag, some of them fly by. It's totally down to taste and author voice, but sometimes it can go beyond that. For instance, taking Harry Potter as an example, J.K. Rowling is a great writer. However, even adults, myself included, read Harry Potter. They are children and teenager-focused books. As has been pointed out elsewhere, Harry and Ron aren't particularly heroic characters. Hermione is the only one of them who's an expert. However, the Harry Potter books are incredibly engaging. I'm thinking that a large part of that is due to them having huge helpings of violence, intrigue and mystery. There's always a mystery, someone is always plotting, and even early in the books Harry is attacked by trees and spiders. Cenk Uygur is a very clever guy, and his VIMS theory is something a lot of authors should pay attention to. Thanks for watching.